Entertaining, well-structured conversation is not an anagram of the Failing Writers podcast. Persisting, flawed chat riot, however.
Oh, it's good to be back, isn't it?
It is good to be back. It's another late night session with Thomas Turner. How you doing, buddy?
I haven't got the late night vibe tonight. I don't know why.
Have you not? Oh,
No,
that's
no.
a shame.
No,
I was
sorry.
liking that character.
Yeah, no,
Daytime TV, kids TV. Let's do it as kids TV presenters.
I haven't
Hey,
got the
Tom!
energy for that, man.
Oh,
Oh, dear.
what have we got
No.
coming up on today's show?
Well, first things first, you know what we should do? We should ask the
Are
question.
we still asking that question, or is that,
do we
kind
need
of?
to ask that question? I think that question is.
We're just going to
going on.
assume that no one's written anything.
Yeah.
Of course, I've only brought that up because I have actually been doing
Have
stuff.
you? Of course you have.
Yeah.
It's December now.
Yeah, I've
isn't
got
it?
a learny share. Do you want to hear a learny share?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, go on then.
So I was about halfway through my outline of the murder mystery thing, and I thought,
This is rubbish.
this is absolute toilet. No, I thought I'm just going to start writing it.
Yep.
And, screw it. I'm going to discovery write the rest of it. When I get to the point where I haven't outlined any more of it, I'm just going to keep going. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then I happened to re-listen to the interview that is coming up right now with Sally Wainwright OBE.
Yeah.
And there was a very sound bit of advice in the middle of that interview. And I U-turned
You
and I decided to finish outlining each chapter properly before starting. Because I was thinking, actually, if I do that, then in theory, it should A, make writing it much easier.
Yes.
Well, that's the theory, isn't it?
That's
And
the
B,
theory, yeah.
it should reduce the amount of redrafting that I have to do afterwards.
Yeah.
Because in theory, I will actually have, everything should fit in place.
It should just fall into place. Yeah.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? With novel writing, you can go about it in so many different ways, but it's the same amount of work, whichever way you go at it. It's just you can either choose to do some of that work up front.
I don't know. I think with genre writing, it might be a case of if you outline it properly, there might be less work.
Yeah, but then the work
That's
goes
what
into
I-
the outlining, doesn't it? Instead of the,
Well, that's true.
rewriting. So
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You've still got the
Yeah.
same amount of work.
yeah.
But I
You're just
feel
putting
like
it in different places. But it's about what's
Yeah, I think
easiest
so.
for you, isn't it? as well?
It's hard plotting, isn't it? It's actually it's taxing on the brain.
Yeah, yeah.
But in theory, once it's done, like you shouldn't have to rewrite loads and loads of words.
Yeah.
I mean, you're quite quick at words, Tommy,
Yeah.
but I think I get myself into right little knotty binds over the actual writing of stuff. I always
Shouldn't
worry
be that
whether it's
hard,
good enough
really.
or whether it's flowing, whether it's like I'm giving away too much. Are the characters working? All that kind of stuff. Is it too cliched?
Well, if there's one other thing that we've learned in this podcast, that is just to ignore that, isn't it? That's the other thing
Yeah,
that comes up
just
time
get
and
on
time
with
and
it.
time again.
Yeah.
Stop bloody
right forward.
talking about it. And just
Stop
bloody
doing a
get on with
podcast
it.
about it and just bloody do it. Yeah.
But it shouldn't be that hard, though, because it's just thinking, isn't it? Thinking shouldn't be difficult.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't like be thinking for a while and then go, God, bloody hell, I'm tired. All that thinking I've been doing today.
Well,
But,
it's still using
yeah,
energy, isn't it?
it's draining, isn't it? Yeah.
It is draining.
All that brain power.
8 hours a day thinking down pit I was.
Absolutely knackered.
Other lads used to come
Oh,
up fresh as
come on.
daisies from, cutting the coal out the wall with the bare hands. I'd be there thinking, and I'd be knackered.
Hey, you joke, but brains they do take a lot of energy, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Relatively speaking, yeah.
Big old organs.
Yeah, they do. Betty, where did you get to in your outline before you just started writing? Did you actually? I can't remember whether you said you finished it. You didn't quite
I got about
finish it, did you?
2/3 of the way through.
All right, okay.
And fittingly, the last third was the most difficult. What's been really interesting is that having not quite finished it in the novel writing month and thinking I'll do it in my own time, I haven't been able to do a blooming thing since.
Yeah.
Now I don't have that sort of, I've got to do it because of this deadline for this month. I've got absolutely zero motivation to do anything at all.
That's weird,
Which
isn't it?
It is, yeah. I was
Why don't
so
you join
into
me
it.
for Dedo Dido or whatever?
Perhaps I should, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get
Just
into
keep
it.
it
Maybe I
going.
just needed to take like a week off and recharge a bit.
Exactly. Have a little moment.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that's my news. Exciting, huh?
Well-
but I'm really enjoying plotting. I think maybe I enjoy plotting more than writing. I don't know. I'll tell you when I've written.
Yeah, do the other bit and then decide. Well, that's good, John. At least you're into it.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. It's good. So, Thomas, been up to anything? Okay, Betty.
No, good.
you
Let's
neither.
move on.
So yeah, should we move on with the let's move on with the podcast.
Yeah, let's get on to somebody who hasn't been resting on her laurels and has been boshing out top quality scripts for many a year now. I am, of course, talking about.
I just like leaving
our
Dave.
guest.
If you leave a big enough gap, Dave can't help but fill it, and he just has to.
He just keeps going. Sorry, I thought you were halfway through a sentence.
I would be terrible in a police interview situation. You know that technique.
It all out.
Yeah, where they just.
You're not getting anything out of me unless you stay quiet for 4 seconds. Then I will tell you everything.
Okay, it was me. Yeah. So, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted.
We literally didn't interrupt you. We were silent. That was the point.
Well, as I interrupted my own self, we've got the wonderful BAFTA award-winning Sally Wainwright, and it's a great interview. It really is. It was fascinating talking to her.
It was a little bit of an honour to have Sally on the show.
It really was.
Sally Wainwright, she discusses writing crisps and driving buses, never whines and never fusses, just cracks on unlike us wusses. Doesn't stand by idly wishing she's a woman on a mission, might put out bombs in the kitchen, but she ignites your television. We're getting pally with Sally, proper happy valley with Sally I run out of breath.
So this week, don't know about you guys, but no big deal really. We've only got Sally Wainwright.
I know.
Right here on the show. How are you doing, Sally? You all right?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
It's quite a coup for us to have you here. So
it is.
Yeah.
We're quite
Isn't it?
grateful.
Yeah.
It's quite a big deal for us. So if we sound nervous, that's why. Okay.
Okay. I'll enjoy your nervousness.
So Sally, we could kick off. I was thinking maybe we could kick off doing like a quick tour of your career, like a kind of open top bus tour. Just kind of start at the beginning.
Well,
you're holding the mic. You can point out a few.
That was
going to
be my first question, John. Speaking of buses.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
That leads on nicely.
I mean, that's what I want to know about. I don't really care about all the writing stuff. Whatever. But what sort of route did you do? There must have been some funny stories.
Well, I drove out of 2 garages. I drove out of Hounslow for a couple of months, and then I drove out of Stamford Hill for a couple of months. And you tend to do, I think I did between 7 and 8 routes at each garage. So you're driving a different route like every week.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I think the most famous ones I drove were when I was at Hounslow. I drove the 37s.
One of my favourite routes.
Well, this is the thing. Whenever I mention the 37, you always know often meet someone who uses it. So that went from Hounslow through Isleworth, through Richmond, down through Wandsworth to Putney. I think it was actually the longest route in London, the 37.
Oh blimey! Did you ever have to do the night bus?
Yeah, I did the night buses a couple of times. And then when I moved up to Stamford Hill, my most famous route that people go, that's my bus, the 73, which went down from Tottenham round the back of Buckingham Palace, and I can't remember,
nice.
but it was it went up Marble Arch, I think, and all sorts. I can't remember. So it's
It's a classic
Yeah,
route.
I guarantee.
I mentioned buses, often people go, "Oh, I get on the 73."
I guarantee somewhere there's a podcast for discussing bus routes, and I think we've got a bit of crossover here, haven't we? Because
Yeah.
Well,
subject.
but
for
I
some
think
people.
it's one of those jobs that, like being a postman, I think there are certain jobs that writers tend to do early in their lives, and I think it's one of those. It can be one
Yeah,
of those.
because you wrote.
Yeah.
Was it Jane Hall? Was about a female bus driver. So
Yeah, Jane Hall, the badly titled Jane Hall, which was originally called Jane Hall's Big Bad Bus Ride.
Oh,
but
much better title.
ITV decided to call it Jane Hall, so nobody would know what it was about.
Oh, take the fun out of that.
Nobody watched it, and it didn't go down very well. So there you go.
Well, we're big on failures on this podcast, Sally.
Oh.
We are the failing writers.
Okay.
Hopefully, we will start to fail less at some point.
One
But,
day, yeah.
That is kind of the shtick of the show.
Yeah.
Is that obviously you have not been invited on the show as a failing writer, but having said that, everybody has their moments.
Oh God.
And we like to pick away at the scab a little bit. What have been your your lowest moments in your writing career, and what have they taught you?
Well, it's every time you write something or every time you film something, it's a mixture of highs and lows. So it's not like it, it's brilliant to have your own stuff on telly and to get your own shows greenlit and to be, working on your own stuff. But it's, with that comes a lot of responsibility as well. The responsibility to produce a show that people are going to watch. And the broadcasters are going to be pleased that they, invested in you. And so sometimes it can be frustrating when it isn't what you want it to be, or somebody hasn't quite done their job in the way that you would have wanted them to do it, often with mixed directors. Which is why I kind of ended up directing myself.
Yeah, because you were like looking at what they were doing and thinking, I could maybe do better there.
Well, I knew I could, to be honest. Although having said that, I've just been working with some fantastic directors on the new series Gentleman Jack, so that's been fantastic. But it is ups and downs, and you have your own demons that you have to live with when you're writing. I say this all the time to young new writers. There's not one script I've written where I haven't gone through a phase of thinking, oh my God, this is the one I can't write.
Really?
It's such an alchemy as writing. It's such a... I mean, you do get to a point in your career where you've been doing it for so long, you kind of know that's not going to happen. But you still go through it every time.
Yeah. Does that often come at the same point of a script?
No, not necessarily. It's often how well you've thought through your stories or not that causes it to happen. But it's always a balancing act. It's always a balancing act of, is this as good as I want it to be? It's good enough, but could it be better? And always wanting to be absolutely the best at every moment, rather than just going, oh well, this will do. Oh, they'll buy this. Oh, this will entertain them for a few minutes. I never think like that. It always has to be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, your shows don't have the feel of a show that's just, oh, that'll do. That'll be fine.
No, absolutely not.
You always seem to be introducing things that put the characters into problems as well. My wife said she's quite mean to her characters, isn't she? I thought, that's exactly it.
Well, it's interesting that... the drama is about when things go wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
When things go right, it's not actually very dramatic.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, I think being mean to your characters is just what drama is. It's about. I often say it's about when bad things happen to good people, or it's about when bad things happen to bad people. But it's about when bad things happen. And it's about how people deal with bad stuff or challenging stuff. But there isn't much drama in someone like winning the lottery until something goes wrong. It's like in Last Tango in Halifax. I know Derek sometimes thinks I don't give him as good storylines as some of the other characters, and it's kind of because his character's such a nice person and the others just aren't. And so more interesting things happen to them because they make more mistakes, because they're kind of more flawed. So I think that's the problem with accusing you of making mean things happen to people. I think you might not be interested in watching it if that isn't.
No, exactly.
Do you think your sort of writing process has changed over the years?
It's evolved, I would say, rather than changed.
Yeah.
Sally, sorry, I think I can hear something.
Something's beeping in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what I think it is?
Oh my God.
Is that a bomb?
Yeah.
Wow, you seem relatively calm about it.
Just got to go and turn it off.
Just go and turn it off.
It was at that moment I think we all realised that professionally Sally Wainwright is just working on a different level to the rest of us.
Yeah, not only is she constantly putting her characters in threatening situations, but she also relishes mortal peril in her own everyday life too.
Yeah, it's amazing how calm she was.
I can talk at the same time as turning the...
Oh God, Sally, are you literally going to continue chatting with us while you defuse a bomb?
I hope so. I think the process has evolved as time's gone on. It's not changed massively. I tend to work out what the stories are, and I do that with whoever I'm working with an exec, storyliners.
Sally, sorry to interrupt. Are you sure you don't want me to call the bomb squad or something?
No, I'm fine.
It seems quite difficult. I mean, knowing which wire to cut and stuff. Is that
every step of the process has to be correct?
Yeah, I suppose it does.
Is it over?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Well done, Sally. Oh, God, glad you're okay. I suggest you maybe don't set yourself any other dangerous, life-threatening tasks during the interview, or it might be over a lot quicker than we imagined.
I wish it was.
And then she just, carried on with the interview like diffusing a bomb was the most normal of domestic chores. It really was extraordinary.
And we'll map out the whole arc of a series, which will be much more detailed in the earlier parts and less detailed in the later parts. And then as you work through the series, you build up that detail. But you do start off hopefully with an idea of what the big arc is. And then with each episode, I go away and write a really detailed scene breakdown. So I'll be writing something like 10 pages of detailed scene breakdown, so that by the time I actually come to write the dialogue, I've solved a lot of the problems. Like I've got structure.
Right.
I know what everyone's doing through the episode. I know what their developments are through the episode.
Yeah.
So by the time I get to write the script, ideally it's kind of the icing on the cake. That's the fun bit after you've done all the really hard work of scripting it and working out what the plot is and what's juxtaposed with what else, and making sure that you're not shortchanging one story in favour of another if that isn't the right thing to do, or you're not spending too much time on a boring storyline when there's a really urgent one that needs more time and space. And it's hard work. Writing the scene breakdown for me is the hardest part. I'm just working on a scene breakdown at the moment, and it's taken me about 3 days to kind of just write down what the first two scenes are. It tends to get quicker than that. It picks up its own pace as it goes on. But for me, I often say it's like building a wall, because if you build on dodgy, you're going to build a wall that's going to fall over. Whereas if each section, as you put it in place, you're completely happy with, you've thought it through, you've spent time, even if it's done your head in getting to that point, it means you're building something solid rather than building something that's going to fall over at the first hurdle.
And have you always been that meticulous in your planning, right from the very early days?
I think I have. I think I have been that meticulous, and I think it probably comes from fear of getting it wrong, or fear of failure or something. But yeah, I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I if something isn't absolutely perfect, or to my mind perfect at least, I can't move on till I know it is. So I think
is that the same with everything in life? or is that a writing thing?
I think it's just writing.
Right.
Everything else is all a bit ad hoc.
That's interesting.
Seat of pants. But not. Yeah, writing is the one thing that I suppose I take seriously.
Right.
Well, you do seem to achieve quite a high level of perfection in your script. That sounds a bit crawly, doesn't it? But it's true. It is true.
Oh, Sally, I think you're wonderful. My name's John, and I think you're brilliant.
I was thinking about Happy Valley. I rewatched Happy Valley very recently, but everything is so tight. There's nothing extraneous in there at all. There's every bit of dialogue. It seems to both push the action on, but also reveal something about the character as well. And it is amazing, really, because
I think the hallmark of great writing is making sure that every scene and every beat is doing more than one thing.
Yeah, even the comedy, is saying something about the characters. It is.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, any one scene should be pushing the plot along. It should be telling you something that you didn't know about a character. It should be hopefully making you laugh or making you cry or evoking some emotion. It should be doing at least those three things, and ideally, 4 more things as well.
But I think the true art form, though, is being able to do those things, Sally, without the viewer being explicitly aware that that's what's happening.
I think they are aware, though, because I think when you don't do it, they get bored, or they kind of know that they're not in very good storytelling hands, and you can sense it a mile off. And I think that's the thing with the TV audience. It's so easy to lose them. It's so easy for them just to switch over and go make a cup of tea.
Just coming back to Happy Valley, it is just such a lovely bit of drama. But I'm always interested, and I'm sure our listeners will be interested in your process. Can you talk us through how you developed the idea? Like, what was the initial seed of the idea, and then how did you begin to develop that into the script? Can you remember?
I often get asked that, and it's quite a hard one to answer, partly because I can't remember.
Yeah.
But often it's a process that you're kind of conscious of it, but it's often quite quick rather than something that you labour over. I mean, on a very pragmatic level, I invented Happy Valley because the BBC asked me for they wanted a Scott and Bailey, which was on ITV.
Right, okay.
What can I do that's
Yeah.
Scott and Bailey? And the obvious thing I could do was, Scott and Bailey was about a major incident team, so they're very highly trained team of detectives. So one of the obvious differences I thought I could do was write about someone in uniform. She's just as highly trained because she's a sergeant, but she's a uniform sergeant rather than a detective. And then I thought about, I knew I wanted to write something else for Sarah because of the way she played Caroline in Last Tango. That just really...
Oh, she's just so amazing.
And I had also had ideas about writing a sort of modern version of Juliet Bravo, which was one of my favourite shows when I was like... I really liked it. You know, it's an episode
yeah.
Oh, God, yeah, I remember that.
Drama. There was a woman inspector who was like the main character, which was, you know, that was its kind of USP. That was very unusual at the time. And it was set, I think it was filmed in and around Todmorden. And I absolutely loved it as a kid. I really, well, teenager, I should say. And so I thought, why don't I write my own version of Juliet Bravo? Also, I had a massive crush, I suppose, on the drama Nurse Jackie.
Oh, yeah.
The American drama Nurse Jackie. Like, that was one of the best TV shows ever. It's like in my top 5 TV shows of all time. It kind of went off in some of the later series, but I think the first series particularly was just mind-blowingly good. It's one of those shows that you think it's so good, and you just learn from it. And it made me. I just wanted to write my own version of Nurse Jackie, and in a way, that's what Happy Valley was, except it wasn't about a nurse; it was about a policewoman. So it was a combination of those kind of things that made me write Happy Valley. I don't know where Tommy Lee Royce came from. I have a vague idea. But I don't know where the idea about him having had a relationship with Catherine's daughter and Ryan being born from that. I honestly don't remember where that came from, other than just sitting down making stuff up. I mean, everything comes from somewhere, but you don't always trace it back to where it came from. The idea of Tommy came from someone I know who was very bullying and nasty. And a couple of times in my life, I've realised I've written about things that have happened to me that have been bad, and I've kind of transposed them into something else. And I think that was what that was.
Yeah.
Almost like a sort of cathartic thing. I'm going to write about.
Yeah, I mean, writing really is cathartic.
Yeah, it's a way of making sense of things, I suppose.
People have that compulsion to write, have got that blessing that it can be very cathartic. It does make you explore things and get things out there that you dwell on. It does have that, effect on your imagination sometimes. And if you can turn it into something good, like a drama that people respond to, I think it's curious. It's curious that happens, but it does.
Yeah.
Sally, can I take you back to after the bus driving, but before sort of the stuff you're doing by yourself? Because you did a lot of Coronation Street, didn't you? And I'm fascinated to hear from you what that was like, how... I imagine it was like properly full on, like really fast, hard work.
That isn't the first thing I'd say about it. I mean, I think we had like 2 weeks to write an episode.
Wow.
So it wasn't necessarily that fast.
Right, okay.
It seems quite fast.
Sounds fast. It does sound quite fast.
So the first time I wrote a play, and it took me 6 months. And when I was a student, no, actually I wrote one overnight. But then I wrote a second one, and it took me 6 months. I've been working on it like for an indefinite period of time. And when I got my first professional job, it was writing The Archers on Radio 4.
Oh, yeah.
And they asked me to write a trial script, and I did that and handed it in, and they offered me a job. And, they didn't give me a deadline for writing the trial script. It was just like, send it when you've done it. And they gave me 50 quid to do the trial script.
Nice.
And then I went to see Ruth Patterson, who was the editor then, and she said, we're going to take you on. And she said, but the big difference is you've got to write 5 episodes in 2 weeks, and instead of 50 quid, you're going to get 2,000 quid, which is a bit sharp, when you're 24.
Wow.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I had a deadline, and I thought, how the hell am I going to write 5 episodes of something in 10 days or whatever it was?
Sorry, Sally, are these finished scripts or are these...
Yeah. I mean, they're only 15 minutes long, but it's still an hour and 15 minutes of drama, 10 days or whatever.
I mean, the three of us haven't managed anything in 40 plus years, so that's some going, isn't it?
Well, it was a shock, but then it became a discipline. It became a sort of point of honour that you could do that. And of course, you can write 15 minutes drama 5 times. 10 days. It's just logistics, actually. When you think about it.
I was going to ask about how useful that was in terms of training for the rest of your career, and because a lot of some writers sort of look down on the idea of continuing drama when they're starting out. But what would you say to them?
When you're starting out, any writing job is good because it's a challenge. I mean, I've got asked to write shows that people are snooty about, but when I wrote The Archers, it was me writing The Archers, so it was fucking good, you know. When I got asked to write shows that people think uncool, they're not cool because it's me writing them, so they're not going to be uncool. You know, I can turn it into what I want it to be. You know, if people think this is a bit crap, well, let's show them.
Yeah.
This episode isn't crap.
This is Cora fucking Nation Street now.
But I remember working with Elaine Page when I wrote The Archers, and she said that she thought writing was like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the better you become. And I was right with that. So to turn down work because you don't want it on your CV that you wrote, you know, casualty, well, just don't put it on your CV, you know. It's still a discipline. It's still showing what you can do within a format. And if you've got a great voice, people are going to hear it. You know, I don't quite understand that mentality that I think people are scared actually when they say I'm not going to apply for that, or I'm not going to fit into that. It's like, well, why wouldn't you? You know, I'd rather be earning money writing than sitting at home not earning money and going, oh well, I'm just going to write films.
I absolutely agree. I don't understand people who look down on stuff because there are writers like, was it Kay Mellor started on used to work on Brookside, and Russell T Davies was on Chucklevision for a while, and it's all these sort of things. They sort of...
He peaked too. Many people say he peaked too soon.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been downhill ever since.
Yeah. Well, I used to work with Russell and Kay a lot at Granada. We worked on all sorts of you know, shows you may not have heard of, things like Families and Mario's and Spring Hill. There were loads of daytime soaps that were and we just, it was fun, and we learned a lot, and it was interesting. You know, it's always interesting to be sitting in storyline meetings and hearing other writers. When I worked on Coronation Street, there was this fantastic writer called Peter Worley, and he was just so good at stories, and I learned so much just listening to him. Stories, the hardest thing. It's the hardest, you know, you've got to be able to write good characters, good stories, and good dialogue. And for me, characters and dialogue come really easily, and the hardest thing by a mile is story. And the great thing about working on soaps is the turnover of story is phenomenal, and there are people who are very skilled at it. And I know a lot of the time on ongoing soaps, it's kind of not always fantastic, but just now and again, there's a real humdinger of a story. And certainly the period when I was writing Coronation Street in the mid to late 90s, and there was a real phenomenal amount of talent in the room, and it was a real privilege being there and listening. I never spoke. I was scared and I was rubbish, but I learned a hell of a lot. I
was going to say, because you, I was reading something about how Kay Mellor sort of encouraged you to focus on original work. But so, like, I'm going to ask about how influential she was, and about the other writers that you've worked with. Who are the ones that you sort of look up to and who have sort of helped you the most in your career?
Well, certainly Kay, because Kay is just naturally somebody who encourages anyone and everyone. You know, she's a real broad-shouldered, kind, generous spirit is Kay, and she always was encouraging. Well, all of us who worked there at Granada at the same time, we were working on her shows. And I also felt comfortable with her. I don't know if it's because we're both from West Yorkshire, and I felt like I just knew her because of that. I mean, other people I work with Russell a lot, and of course he's, you know, his work's wonderful, and you know, he's someone I always admire and look up to. But you know, there were so many people at Granada at that time, so many writers. I mean, it was fantastic the way Granada functioned at that time. It was like if you got in there was a whole kind of unofficial system for kind of stepping up the ladder. Right from, you know, writing, as I say, these afternoon soaps like Families and Revelations. That was a late night soap. As I say, you've probably never heard of them, but we spent ages writing this thing in the early 90s. Children's World, that was another fantastic one.
Oh yes,
I remember that.
Great show to get on, and then ultimately could get onto Coronation Street, and that was like striking gold. And then through Kay's influence, the next thing for me was, now I want my own original 9 o'clock drama. And Kay had said to me, you know, it's great being on Coronation Street, but don't stay for more than 5 years, because if you do, you'll never leave. He's absolutely right. I've seen that happen with other people. I mean, other people may have chosen to do that, which is brilliant. But I did leave exactly 5 years after I'd started because the At Home with the Braithwaites got greenlit.
So did you write that in your own time, or were you kind of commissioned to do that, or how did it work?
I'd actually written it about 10 years earlier.
Oh, right.
It was like I think it started life as a stage play,
Right?
And I showed it to Tony Wood, who was a producer at Granada, and he commissioned it as a half-hour sitcom. And then I think he left, and Caroline Reynolds inherited it. She was the exec on Corrie at the time, and she recommissioned it as an hour-long drama rather than as a half-hour sitcom.
Yeah,
I think they wanted a drama that went out at the same time as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So it was one of those things of just being in the right place at the right time with the right idea, which you can't kind of is serendipity. You can't kind of control it.
But you actually have to have had some ideas in the first place. I did.
And be in some sort of place that isn't just sat on your sofa at home.
Exactly.
Eating crisps.
Just watching telly and going, I could have written
that
better than that.
I don't do that anymore, I don't watch telly and eat crisps. I just, at the end of the day, when I've been writing telly all day, the last thing I want to do now is watch drama, and it's sad, actually.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's only happened to me recently, because I don't know why. I think I'm working on 3 shows at once at the moment, which is mad. And at the end of the day, I just want to.
Do you still eat crisps?
I do still eat crisps, yeah. But
there we go. Okay, that's something.
Telly and eating crisps. I'm writing telly and eating.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
But at the end of the day, there isn't an end of the day because I'm just a worker at the moment. I get up at 5 o'clock. That's what the archers taught me, actually, was to get up at 5 o'clock. Because if I was scared of the deadline, you just get up early and get on.
Steal some time from the day.
Yeah. Get some cows milked and then get on with it.
Get some cows milked.
Yeah. Well, because as we sort of speak, I think I'm right in saying that the sort of third and final series of Happy Valley has sort of just been announced. Is that one of the things that you're working on at the moment?
Yes, it is. So
I feel like we skipped on there because I did want to ask you what your favourite flavour of crisps were in the crisps section of this interview.
It's cheese and onion and prawn cocktail.
Actually, I was going to guess prawn cocktail. I've got like a sixth sense of guessing people's crisp flavours, and I was going to say prawn cocktail. Are you surprised with the cheese and onion, though?
And I like my favourite brand is Seabrook.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Obligatory. Yeah. Obligatory West Yorkshire crisps.
Yeah.
Very, very salty.
Yeah, when I worked in Leeds, that's what they had in the vending machine at Galaxy.
I remember, I grew up in Huddersfield, and I remember going, like when I went to uni and stuff, trying to explain to people that there were sweet corn flavoured crisps and that it was normal. What? Oh, they're very good, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What, Seabrook?
I don't know if they still do them. They used to.
Yo.
Canadian
ham.
Yeah,
those are
good
ones.
Seabrook
There's a flavour. Those stay with you. Those flavour. That Canadian ham is a lurking round flavour. That.
Yeah, for the rest of the day.
Sorry, I've derailed the chat a little bit, but I did.
So back
should we talk about Ben Shaw's pop next, or should we move on to talk about more writing?
Do they still do Ben Shaw's?
See, now we're asking the big questions. I don't know.
I haven't seen Ben Shaw's for ages.
Yeah, there used to be one called Space Special that was like a really weird green colour. And looking back now, it's always a bit weird, isn't it, when a food manufacturer just doesn't want to apply any kind of flavour indicator to their product. It's just a generic weird coloured
space flavoured.
I got some dandelion and burdock the other day, which I haven't had for ages, and I couldn't believe why is Coke so big and dandelion and burdock isn't.
I don't know. My youngest doesn't like dandelion and burdock, and it's been quite a wrench putting her up for adoption, if I'm honest. But it feels like the right thing to do.
But they're so similar, aren't they? Dandelion and burdock and Coke, except dandelion and burdock
is better.
Nicer, yeah.
Yeah, and Coke just doesn't tell you what vegetables they put in it. If any.
Exactly.
Extract that flavour.
Sorry, right? What were we talking about? Because
I was gonna ask Sally. I was looking at a list of your awards. You've got quite a lot of awards, haven't you? I'm sort of imagining like a room dedicated to your awards, like a sort of Aladdin's cave of gleaming stuff. Where do they go? Where do you keep them all?
I've started dotting them around the house because.
Oh, nice!
In the crisp cupboard.
I think I do that just so on any occasion you could always say, "Oh, it's just over there by the BAFTA." Do you know if someone's asking for the keys or something like that?
I can't get away with that. It's too obvious. I've got 6 BAFTAs, so I've started spreading them around the house as opposed to putting them all together. But some of the labels have started falling off. The metal plaques.
Oh, you can get some new ones done. Put what you like on.
Falling off, and I keep sticking them back on with things like chewing gum. But then they fall off again, and they all need polishing. They're all a bit. Yeah. But no, I have got a lot of awards. Yeah, sorry, it's embarrassing.
No, don't worry. You've got an OBE as well now, haven't you? So.
I have got an OBE, but they haven't sent it to me yet.
What?
Well, they sent me.
I assumed you got it there and then. Did they not hand it over?
They said because of COVID, you can either come to the Palace and bring one guest, or you can come to a garden party next year and bring 3 guests. And I thought, well, first of all, I haven't got time to go to the Palace anyway at the moment. So I said, I'll come next year with 3 guests, thinking I might or might not. But they said, we'll send it in the post in September, and it's never come. And I don't know who to write to say.
Or go straight to the top. I've seen people like when they want to complain to companies and stuff.
I mean,
Queen's not welcome.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be pestering it.
Yeah, but she's.
They did send me a scroll that she'd signed, and so I think I've got an OBE, but I haven't actually got the.
Well,
the actual
on the
thing,
plus side, when you go to the garden party, at least you'll know which bus to get there.
Yeah, well, she's.
That's a good thought actually, because I was worrying about
bus.
But sorry, I asked earlier on about. You said you're working on 3 different things at the minute. So the new series of Happy Valley, I presume, is one of them. What else is going on?
So we're in post-production on Gentleman Jack 2.
Oh, right,
course,
yeah.
Which we've only just finished filming about a month ago, because we got closed down 4 times because of COVID. So the filming process went on significantly longer than it would normally do.
Yeah.
So we're just in post-production on that, which I haven't directed this time. I'm executing.
All right.
And I am in pre-production on Happy Valley and The Ballad of Renegade Nell, which we're making for Disney.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, I saw something about that today, yeah, for Disney+.
Yeah, so we started filming that, I think, in March or April. So, again, we're at a slightly earlier stage than we are with Happy Valley, but not far behind. So we've got 6 of the 8 scripts written now.
How the hell do you keep on top of all these, when you've got all these things going on at the same time?
Literally is going to be my next question, word for word, Dave. Yeah, come on. How does that work? Do you do it on different days, or do you, how do you...
No, I can't. It's hard is the answer, because it's quite it's the hardest thing for me is to sit down and write, because you just need to block everything else out. Like we're turning around new cuts of episodes of Gentleman Jack. I have to watch them and I have to comment on them. To quite tight deadlines, so I can't just hide away and write, that sort of thing. So it's quite a hard balancing act. And it I'm lucky that I've got so much stuff and it's fantastic. So I can't complain, but it's quite tough to just keep everything balanced. But especially because I just haven't got my brain is a bit of a mess. It's not like I'm extraordinarily well organised or anything. It's kind of just lurching from one thing to the next and hoping you haven't forgotten anything, which I often do.
Well, you didn't even know they did sweet corn crisps, so
I'll get a phone call saying, "Are you coming on Zoom?" That happens.
And do you play it cool? Do you do? Yes, absolutely.
No, I'm terrible. I just go, "Oh my God, I'm shit."
Too honest.
But I work. I'm doing all these 2 projects with Lookout Point, Faith Penhale's production company, and I get a huge amount of support. I'm working with some really talented people who. So it's it's a team effort. I mean I have to write the scripts, but it as I say, storylining is a team effort. Just getting feedback from them is what keeps it going. So it's you're lucky when you're working professionally, because you do get a lot of support. Whereas when you writing, on your own, sending scripts in on spec and that sort of thing, you are kind of very much on your own, and that is tough. That's hard.
Yeah, it definitely helps to bounce ideas off people.
Yeah.
Just coming back to Gentleman Jack, it seems like that's a project you're especially passionate about. Is that one that's been kind of on the boil for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, I've been interested in Dan Lister as long as I can remember. I think from being a teenager, I was always trying to find out stuff about her. And it was, that's in the days before the internet, when you couldn't just press a button and get loads of info.
Of course, yeah.
And then I first pitched a drama about her in about 2002, 2003, and just no one was interested. No one had heard of her. No one had heard of me, apart from writing Braithwaites. And so I just continued working on the diaries, transcribing the diaries, thinking about Anne Lister, thinking I'd do something else with Anne Lister.
There's a lot of diaries as well.
Oh, they're massive. I mean, it's hard to picture if you haven't seen them. There are 24 volumes. There's actually 27 altogether, but 3 of them are sort of smaller notebooks, and one of them's gone missing, I think. But there are 24 volumes.
Is the one that's missing up in your loft?
No.
A pile of BAFTAs. You can't see it.
Yeah.
I wish it was. There's 24 volumes. They're about 360 pages long each. Very tiny writing. There's 5 million words altogether. That's about 3 times more than Pepys wrote.
Well, that's great. There could be a few series of Gentleman Jack then. We're not going to run out anytime
I
soon.
hope so. I hope, we get commissioned again for a third series. You never know. You never know from series to series. It's all dependent on viewing figures.
Yeah.
And you never know. You never know when something's going to hit and when it's going to miss. It's just alchemy and what's in the ether, and what people want to watch at the time. And I've had my fair share of turkeys, and you never know when you're going to get another one, to be honest. But series 1 went down very well, and it's had a huge effect. There's a documentary coming out called The Gentleman Jack Effect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Anne Lister seems to have picked up a lot of new fans across the world.
Yeah, I mean that's The Gentleman Jack Effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully, I think series 2, as I said, I haven't directed myself this time, but I think I think it's better than season 1. I think certainly the episodes I've been seeing over the last few weeks as they've been coming in through the edit process, really exciting. So hopefully we'll get another series.
We'll look forward to seeing
You've
that.
worked with Sir Anne Jones several times now, haven't you? How did you guys meet originally? Was there a Coronation Street link there?
No, I finished writing Corrie in 99, and I think Sir Anne came in the early noughties. I wrote a drama called Dead Clever in about 2007, and I wasn't heavily involved in it other than writing it. I was commissioned to write a drama based on a real life crime thing, and so I didn't get involved in production at all. And she played the lead in it, but I never met her because I didn't even go on set or anything. Right. It was one of those where I was kind of a hired hand to write the script. So I didn't actually meet her. So that was the first time I kind of came across her. The producer, Cecil Williams, said, "Oh, what do you think about Sir Anne Jones playing the lead in this?" And I was kind of aware that she was Karen MacDonald in Coronation Street, but I didn't actually watch Corrie. I stopped watching it when I left because I couldn't stand not knowing what happened.
It went downhill after you left, to be honest, I think. Yeah.
But no, I didn't really want to leave. I left of my own accord, but I didn't really want to leave. And a reaction to that was sadly to stop watching it, which, I'd watched it since I was 6. So it was it's one of those things when you work in telly, it sometimes loses its magic, the magic of watching it. But anyway, that's another conversation. So I was kind of aware that Sir Anne Jones played Karen MacDonald, but I didn't really know what that meant other than the odd trailer that I'd seen. And that she was kind of big news. She was like the new Sarah Lancashire, So she came on board to play Julie Bottomley in Dead Clever. And it was brilliant. I really loved it when they finished the edit on it. But that was the first time I'd seen it, and I didn't meet her. And the first time I met her was in a meeting to discuss Scott and Bailey, because it was her idea. It was her and Sally Lindsay's idea was Scott and Bailey.
Yeah.
And they asked me on board to write the script. So that was the first time I met Sir Anne. So we did Scott Bailey.
Was Unforgiven?
Oh, Unforgiven. I forgot about Unforgiven. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Unforgiven but forgotten.
No, it was Unforgiven, and then we discussed Scott Bailey. Sorry. It was that way around. Yeah. Yes, I had forgotten Unforgiven. Sorry about that. Yes. So I've worked with the 4 times. Yes, that's right.
I like to think of you as like good mates, 2 northern lasses who go out on the razzle sometimes on Friday night.
Knee-deep in crisps. Sally, I'm really aware that you said that you had to be gone at 6:45, which is about what time it is now. But much as I'd love to carry on talking to you, but if you've got to go,
I'm afraid I do. But it has been really nice talking.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Yeah,
thanks a lot,
Sally.
All right.
Very kind of you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Brilliant.
Brilliant lady, brilliant to talk to, and just
fantastic tasting crisps as well. Which
seriously,
I hadn't really thought about Seabrook crisps for a good many years.
Did I ever tell you about my brilliant crisp idea?
I think you've probably had a lot of brilliant crisp ideas over the years, Tom. But which
one, Tommy?
I had this a long time ago, and it's never left me. And it's become. I don't know if it's become more possible, but less impressive as the years have gone on. As crisp manufacturers have started to offer a wider variety of flavours. But in the early 2000s, I had an idea of Crispmas dinner.
Christmas dinner.
An entire Christmas dinner, but just made out of crisps. So you have a
turkey crisp, a potato
crisp. Well,
crisp.
These days you can get turkey
crisp.
crisps, Dave. Back in the day, you couldn't. But you'd have your bacon crisps as your pigs in blankets, your plain crisps as your roast potatoes, Seabrook's sweet corn crisps, as mentioned in the interview, as a vegetable accompaniment. And then, maybe prawn cocktail for starter, gentlemen?
Yeah. Well,
Why
yeah.
Not? Why not?
Bit of
and then Christmas pudding ones.
jelly
Well,
crisps.
that's the thing now. Now they do all weird. You can get mince pie flavoured crisps.
Actually,
don't you?
I
so
saw
it's kind of
mince
ruined it a
pies.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you say ruined it. What they've actually done is do that exact idea.
But they've never called it
But
Christmas
not put
dinner.
them in the
Why have they
same
not done
bag.
that?
Well,
There should be an advert, shouldn't there?
They haven't done. Yeah, make
That is
your,
nice, Tommy.
your perfect
That is nice.
Christmas dinner.
I can't believe
Yeah.
you're giving away all these brilliant ideas on the podcast, Tom.
I know.
For free.
I know.
Hey, fellas, does it make you wonder, interviewing Sally, does it make you wonder who else might come on the show?
No, I think we've
yeah.
I think we should name some people.
Jeffrey Archer.
Jeffrey Archer, get him on. I think we should name some people we'd like to have on the show. Who's in your like dream people?
Do you know who I'd love to talk to about the writing? Obviously you don't. That's why I'm in this situation with the question you've asked. But if you were to ask me, which you have done, I would.
I do. No, it's all right, Tom. I know already,
Oh, right,
so
cool.
you don't need to tell us.
Dave, what about you?
I think currently I would like to have Jesse Armstrong
Oh, yeah.
on the show, and maybe Lucy Preble.
Oh, you got a list,
as
have you?
well. I have. Yeah. Well, I actually think about these things, Tom.
Rather than crisps.
And have you contacted them?
No, I haven't contacted any of them. No.
Don't be stupid.
No, I've thought about them. I've thought about some names. Natasha Hodgson, I think I've mentioned
yes.
before.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
have Natasha Hodgson, writer of The Sink. These wonderful writers I'd like to get on.
And for the sake of Bairdy, Tommy, because Bairdy doesn't know who you want.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Mackenzie Crook, I think, would be great. I think a proper under-the-radar, brilliant writer.
Yeah.
He's good,
Yeah.
kids' books, Wurzel Gummidge.
I still haven't watched The Detectorists, I still haven't seen it.
And I was going to say, and The Detectorist really is. I know everyone says it's a brilliant unsung thing, but if everyone's saying it, can it be unsung? But it kind of is a really, really good, lovely piece of work.
Yeah. But you have contacted his agent, haven't you, Tom?
Oh, yeah, he said, yeah. his agent
And
said
what
no.
did you get
Well, I mean,
back?
that's a very, very nice reply.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's good.
He's a bit busy at the minute. Maybe try again in the new year. So January the 1st, I am going down to the office. I've had a look on Google Maps at some railings outside. So I thought I'm going to tie myself to them, just wear my underpants.
Should get his attention.
David Baddiel is another one I'd like.
Oh, yeah.
to.
Yeah. Daisy May Cooper.
Daisy May Cooper.
I'd like to
Yeah.
have Daisy May Cooper on. She's ace. James Acaster. He's just brought a book out, hasn't he?
Has he? If we get him on, we could ask him if he wants to be Byron in your sitcom, John.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All comes together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is tune in to season 2 to see just how many of these big names we have on. Oh, I think you will be surprised.
Yeah. Episode 1, if we could just read out all of the rejection letters.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
All the different ways that
Yeah.
people have said no to being on the show. That would be nice.
Yeah, we'll do that. We should do that as the trailer for season
That's
2,
good.
part of the
Yeah.
trailer.
Everyone's excuses for not
Yeah.
coming on the show. Brilliant.
Yeah. And if anyone listening has any contacts to people they think should be on the show.
Good point. They might be a relative or something. That's a very good point.
That's true. Yeah, because things like
Yeah.
that do happen, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's ideas for the future.
What about the now? What's happening now?
Well, next week, I think we've got something quite spectacular happening, haven't we?
I mean, it is literally a spectacular,
It's
I think,
Christmas,
isn't it?
it? So you got it,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Yep.
It's going to be pretty
It's
sparkly.
the kind of thing that people can put on Christmas Day while you're eating your Christmas dinner. Have a really good listen to the spectacular, the Christmas spectacular that we're currently putting together. It's just it really is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable what we think passes as entertainment.
Yeah. So tune in for the Christmas spectacular. You really will not believe it.
That's about right.
exactly
Dave,
right.
actually,
But until then, there's not really much else for us to say.
Which is unusual for one of Dave's goodbyes.
Yeah. And the best Christmas present that you could give us this year would be a little review.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Go online and leave us a little review. Tell everyone how much you like the show.
Yeah.
And
please.
Or one of those massive boxes of Walker's crisps. You know, the mixed ones. where you
Oh
get
yeah,
lots of
that'd be the
different
best. A
ones.
second
That'd be a good
Yeah.
present.
second best present would be.
But yeah, a review would be.
Yeah, we're very grateful for you lending us your ears. It's nice that you chose to listen to us when there are so many other excellent things you could be listening to.
Don't tell them about the other stuff, John.
Yeah, you've just cut our
But it is-
listenership in half.
There's nothing else to listen to. No, it's not. I don't think there's any other podcast. There's not a lot of podcasts, is there?
No.
Very little choice. So you're probably
Yeah.
fine
Yeah.
here.
But thanks for listening.
No, we do.
We do
We
appreciate
do really
it.
appreciate it.
All right. Well, bye then.
Short and sweet, Dave. Short and sweet. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. And with that, the music began, the waffle ceased, and they all went to bed. Good night. Hello?
Where's everybody gone?